welcome to part 2 in my DIY painted fireplace brick makeover series. In today's video, I will be sharing with you how we refinished our mantle. And if you're new here, I'm Rachel, the blogger behind the Confused Millennial, and this channel is all about helping millennial moms live luxe on less. Let us get into how we refinished the mantle from this gray drab to this warm honey tone. And this project definitely had a pretty huge learning curve. I will be sharing with you all the mistakes and anxieties I had along the way. And in case you missed it, make sure to click here to check out yesterday's video for part 1 in this series, all about how we redid the brick from our dated 1970s red brick to this really nice white. All right, so mistake number 1 that we had was not knowing what the original fireplace mantle had been finished in. I really thought it had just been painted on with gray, then somebody took white paint, dipped it in a towel, and just kind of washed it right over. No way in a million years would I have ever guessed that coloring was from a stain. However, when we used citrus strip to strip the mantle, it ended up leaving quite a bit of color behind. When I read the label, it seemed like citrus strip was really made for paint and not so much staining, so definitely make sure that you choose the right stripping agent first. While we did love working with citrus strip, it glided on really well, it spread across really well, there was not a lot of odor at all. It ended up just not being right for us, and after we did 2 strips with it, we ended up having to go back to the store and we got this other stripping agent. I forget the name, but here's a photo of it. And that was specifically made for staining. It smelled horrible, but it definitely got a lot more of the gray tones off. Now, the downside with this one is that obviously it smells terrible, so bad in fact that we had to leave our house and we had to let it sit for like 6 hours. So it was definitely a much larger commitment, and if you don't need to use it, I would not go ahead and use it by any means. When it comes to applying your stripping agent, I personally would recommend using a kind of spatula spreader. This is also going to be the tool that you use to remove the stripping agent once it comes time to peel it off. You can totally paint on the stripping agent with a paintbrush as well. I just figured why dirty up a paintbrush when I was already going to be using this tool later on. Mistake number 2 I made was priming our mantle. Oh my gosh. So if you guys caught the first video on redoing the brick, you know that like from preparing the surface to priming the surface to painting the surface, it all took about 2 weeks. It was definitely a long process, and when I was priming the brick, I got a little roller happy, which I'm known to do, and I know I'm not the only one out there, and I ended up priming the mantle too. How this all happened was I went down a Google rabbit hole all about preparing your wood surface for staining, and a lot of people talked about priming it and conditioning it. So I got really in my head, and I had read the word primer so many times, I had seen wood primer ads so many times that I just thought I was supposed to prime it. Little did I realize that by priming it, it was going to take away all of the wood graining. So once again, we had to strip our mantle. If you're counting, by the way, that is 3 times we've stripped our mantle. So no, 4 times we've stripped our mantle so far. So obviously priming and wood conditioning are totally different. From what I read, wood conditioning is really used to open up the wood grain so that your stain sets into it more deeply. Now, this is not a required step, although some people will say it 100% is. What I ended up doing was a mix of oil-based stain and gel stain, which I'll talk to you guys more about later on, and I did not find that I needed to condition or prep the wood surface in any way, shape, or form. A lot of people say you want to do this to avoid blotching, so when you are going to go ahead and stain wood, you want to test it on a small area first. By creating that gel hybrid mixture, I ended up being able to cover up some of the blotching that I saw on one side of the mantle, so we'll get into that more later. Long story short, as far as it goes to condition your wood, you can use water to just open up the wood grain pores, or you can always get a wood conditioner, or you can skip it all together if you're going to be using a gel hybrid. Lastly, as far as preparing the mantle surface for stain, once you have stripped it down, you're also going to want to sand it. You'll start off with a medium grit sandpaper and then work your way to a super fine sandpaper. That way it's smooth to the touch. And throughout that process, I would recommend having a microfiber cloth on hand so that you can keep just kind of wiping away all of that dust. If your surface isn't totally clean, what can happen is you end up coloring the dust, and then when you go to wipe it off later, you have little specks left behind of where the color didn't get into because there was dust. I feel like I just said dust like 25 times. I'm sorry. Now let's get into staining the fireplace. So as if this mantle hadn't become the bane of my existence, I had already stripped it 4 or 5 times, I think. When it came time to actually stain, I had a total panic attack. This was my first time staining anything in my entire life. All I have heard is that staining is a fine skill that takes years to perfect. And needless to say, that phrase gave me a ton of anxiety. There was no way I was going to strip this mantle another time. Not gonna happen. Whatever color came out was the color that came out. I was done. So I ended up getting to the point where I actually was called in a professional, and she said, did I have a gel stain? A what? A what? I'd never heard of such a thing before. I did some research and learned that gel stains are really great when you are working with vertical or underneath surfaces because they have way less dripping. They're a lot thicker. They're almost like a pudding or a jello-like texture. So they kind of just glide on. You also only have about 3 to 5 minutes to work with the color, whereas a traditional stain, you have about 15 minutes to keep playing around with the color. So when it came to our mantle, I had a very specific vision in mind. I wanted it to be warm and almost honey-like. I didn't have the exact color I wanted. One of the cons to working with a gel stain is they come in far fewer colors than a traditional stain. But I ended up finding this antique maple, and I thought, okay, this is great. It's definitely a little bit more orange than I want, but maybe they'll come out lighter. I'll apply it on really thin. We'll make it work. You guys know I'm roller happy. So I used a high density foam roller to roll on the gel stain. And even though the color wasn't exactly what I wanted while doing it, I just hoped and prayed it was going to dry lighter as the gel soaked more and more into the wood. That ended up not being the case. And when I covered the entire top surface of the mantle fully, it came out way too orange. While some people might love it, it just wasn't the look I was going for. So you guessed it. I had my husband strip the mantle once again. I told you I was never stripping that mantle again. After that, I decided to order a half pint of the honey maple gel stain. This was really yellow. I was super nervous that it was gonna look almost like one of those chintzy elementary school desks. When I went ahead and applied the honey maple gel stain, it did nothing. It really was just like a glossy finish onto the wood. It did not change the color whatsoever. I felt defeated at this point, needless to say, and I got a crazy idea. What if I mixed the antique maple with the honey maple to get my color? I went ahead, got a bowl, mixed the two in, I put all of the honey maple and only a little bit of the antique maple, since the dark went a long way in the white, and you can always make something darker, but it's really hard to make something lighter. So I started off with just tiny bits of the darker antique maple in there. I went ahead, did a test patch this time. I learned from my mistake, and it still wasn't quite my color. In a fit of insanity and desperation, I cracked open my original stain, which was the Minwax traditional stain in Hornbeam. I grabbed an old white t-shirt, dipped it into the stain, and just started wiping. And I wiped and wiped, and I did this forward-facing surface, and let me tell you, it was my color. It was beautiful. It was not nearly as drippy or hard to work with as I had been made to believe. I felt like this was it. It's perfection. I did the entire front surface, went to go celebrate, had a glass of water, showed my husband, came back 10 minutes later, and it was no longer my color. The Hornbeam had soaked into the wood so much that it was kind of the undertones of my color, but it was going to take a lot of layers to get there, and I was nervous about that. So I put my mad scientist hat back on and decided to mix my gel stain mixture with the Hornbeam to create some weird color that was pretty close to my original vision, and voila. It ended up being the perfect consistency and blend between how thick and goopy and hard the gel stain was to work with, because remember, you only have like 3 to 5 minutes to keep that workable, with the super liquidy traditional Hornbeam stain. Okay, so when I say I mixed the hornbeam with the gel mixture, I did not mix that all up into a ball. What I did was I took my t-shirt dipped in hornbeam and I just wiped it across the surface, and then I took my foam roller with the gel stain mixture and rolled it on top of that, and then kind of kept going back and forth with the t-shirt soaked in hornbeam and the gel and the foam roller soaked in the gel stain until I got the thickness and the color that I wanted. And it really allowed me to get my color in one coat, one shot. I took a step back, let it all soak in. As it was soaking in, if I noticed there was an area that wasn't quite even or the color that I wanted, I went ahead and just reapplied in that section until it evened out with the rest of the surface. So this gave me a lot of wiggle room with forgiveness on the color, which as a new stainer, this is my first time staining, I really appreciated. Now, like I mentioned, I did have a little bit of blotching, and that was when I was applying just the hornbeam. And in doing that, when it soaked in after about 10 minutes, the whole side had a ton of blotching. And the gel mixture allowed that to totally cure and come out completely even. The other reason I really love the mixture of the traditional with the gel stain is that my wood had a couple of really not so cute knots in the wood, and by mixing the gel, it allowed me to cover up some of the wood grain detailing that I just thought wasn't cute, while still keeping a lot of the other wood grain detailing intact and visible to the naked eye. So it allowed me to really go thicker in certain areas and lighter in other areas. I let this all dry up. I took my superfine sanding block and went ahead and just kind of brushed it over a few times to get it all a little bit more textured, a little bit lighter. There we had my mantle, no top coat needed since this is not getting sat on or a lot of wear. Nothing comes off to the touch, as you can see, and I really love this color. Go ahead and hit that notification and subscribe button, because tomorrow I will be bringing you the final part of this series, and I will be sharing with you how we are redoing our fireplace hearth tiles. And one of the major ways we saved money on redoing our entire fireplace was by painting the tile. And I know that might sound crazy. A lot of people get really nervous about painting tile in general, let alone the safety concerns in front of a fireplace. So I will be walking you guys through, did it come out okay, the mistakes along the way, and all of that. You definitely won't want to miss it. In the meantime, make sure to catch up on part 1 of this series about how we redid our fireplace brick. And if you want to see the rest of our house, I will leave our empty home tour from when we first moved in right here.